Han Meditations. Thank you guys for listening to the Han Podcast. In today's podcast, we're going to be talking about reincarnation, what happens after life and death and in between. We're also going to be talking about the mechanics of reality, also Nostradamus and what his true message was, and how Dolores Cannon is able to bring people into a state of altered consciousness in which they can experience their past lives. We're also going to share our own past life experiences and the messages that we've gotten. And at the end of the podcast, I'm going to be leading a guided meditation so that you can learn more about your past life. And Kelly is going to be giving a Reiki session during the guided meditation to soothe you and give you positive energy. Thank you for watching. Today's podcast is going to be a good one. So in today's podcast, we're going to be talking about reincarnation and just explaining and talking about what it really is and how different cultures believe in it and what we believe. So just to start off, Kelly, do you believe in reincarnation?
I do. For a long time, I didn't not believe it, but I didn't necessarily believe in it. I was just, maybe it is, maybe it is. I believe some type of reincarnation existed, but I wasn't really sure about past lives and all that until I started reading Dolores Cannon books. Mm-hmm. And it really just clicked for me. And
it kind of gave you like a framework of, what to go off of.
Yeah, and in a way that makes sense. And I do believe in it now for sure.
Okay. So what do you believe happens in reincarnation, essentially?
Well, as beings on Earth, I do believe in the whole karma thing. So, we are... At our core, we are beings of light, part of God, a particle of the light source that is God.
Yeah.
And when we decide to come to Earth, it is a learning school. We're going to learn many, many things about what it means to be a human, because basically no other planet is like that, with all the things that we can learn here and the actual pure, 100% pure free will.
Yeah.
And we come that and we experience that. And I believe that if we said in this, okay, this is the life I'm going to go into, these are the things I'm going to learn, here's the checklist. And if we don't do that, or say we get wrapped up in something random that really had nothing to do with it, but kind of, isn't going to progress us as a soul, then we don't have to, but once we become a soul again, we're like, okay, well, the purpose of going there was to learn these things I didn't learn, so I'm going to go back and finish the school, basically.
Yeah. So from my perspective, the only thing that really matters is progression of the soul. So you want to be progressing constantly and have your soul progress through time and over time, even though time is an illusion, which really brings me to the concept of how reincarnation works in a sense, because you have to know how the nature of reality truly works to even understand the structure of reincarnation and how it works. So the structure of reality, the way it is all time is truly now. Time doesn't exist. So, and this might be a hard concept for people to grasp if this is your first time hearing it. So I would just suggest maybe to, keep listening to things like this and exploring on your own, but all time is truly now. So you don't really have a past life. You just have lives that are living right here and right now. Because all time is now. Everything is happening right now. And the way I like to describe it is, if you're watching a movie, you're not actually watching people move. It's called motion pictures for a reason. That's literally what it is. It's pictures in motion. So whenever you have a video, it's not actually recording you moving. It's just recording many pictures at one time at a certain frame rate that allows the illusion of movement over time. So that's how reality works. Every instant in time is one picture, but really there's just now. So as you go through multiple different dimensions, infinite dimensions, the illusion of time begins to form. That's how time truly works. So if you realize that, then you know that everything that happens is now. We have a dear friend, her name is Pauline. She's into this kind of information. And she actually was telling Kelly that she believes that she knows Kelly in a past life. So what she's truly experiencing is one of her versions of herself that is living now is in another reality with Kelly now. So they're together now. And a lot of times you have people in your past lives, and I'll call it a past life just for, just to be compendious with my words and with everything that we're talking about. It's just an easier way to describe it because it gets so convoluted over time. But she's a past life version of herself is living now with Kelly, knows her. And like I said, whenever you're getting into this kind of information, you realize that it is fun to play with it and it is fun to think about it because it's so complicated and it doesn't make sense at first. But a lot of people, whenever you're in your version of your life now, you know them from a past life. People that you don't like, people that you do like, a lot of times these people come into your life so that they can help you and show you something. And they're truly doing it to help you out. So that's what a lot of people don't realize. They might think, oh, I hate this person. I hate this person. That person could have been in spirit saying, oh, they're my friend. You know, that's my homie. I'm actually going to go into this reality with them and play the villain role just to help them out. Because who better to do it than a friend? You agree with that concept?
Yeah, for sure. And past lives, I think, are just really, really interesting. And sometimes things will happen in this life for not really the reasons you think. I mean, of course, we see them a lot in relationships, but even relationships that end up, you break up, you know, it still could be a very good reason. There was something you need to learn in that. It could have been, you know, in the past life, you were together but something happened and then you didn't forgive that person. And in this life, you need to relearn it again. Forgiveness is huge. That is a huge thing for the karma wheel. Not forgiving things will keep you stuck and have to relearn. So that's a big reason why forgiveness is so huge. And forgiveness is a direct path to enlightenment, to the highest way of thinking and being and loving and truly loving. Even if something was, done wrong to you, still having that true, pure love. That's what enlightenment and being a high vibrational being is all about. And that's how you escape all these energies that can keep you stuck in this karma, in this earth realm. Forgiveness breaks through all of it. So we have to be working on forgiveness in this life. That's a huge thing that we still all have to learn.
Yeah. And whenever you're working on forgiveness, that's kind of rewriting your DNA. So as we know, past traumas that can go back like 10, 15 generations manifest through the father's DNA, through his RNA, and manifest in you. So you really have to rewrite that DNA and you have to change it so that you're able to truly be the best version of yourself. If you're not rewriting that DNA and overcoming it, then you're going to keep seeing these past traumas that happen in your past lives, in the past lives of your ancestors as well. So this concept gets really deep and a lot of people just need to calm down, be truly open and honest with yourself, question everything, and realize and know that you're not perfect and that's okay. But we're striving towards perfection. We're striving towards the perfection of the soul. And in that pursuit, we're going to be bringing up a lot of this past trauma and working through it. A lot of people call it shadow work. We're able to truly let go of your shadows, let go of, the bad parts that you don't want to talk about. And that has to do with just letting go and releasing that trauma and that information. So I really like how you put that, Kelly. And Dolores Cannon has been a big influence in how that works. So Dolores Cannon talks about, she's one of if you don't know who Dolores Cannon is, she's one of the first people that started doing past life regressions through her QHHT method, her quantum healing method. And it's a really, really cool method. I really enjoy it. I like reading all of her books. I probably read 4 or 5 of them. Let me think. I've read at least 3 of her books, and they're long books too. But I probably read 4, and I'm in the process of reading 4 or 5. Kelly has read a lot too. Kelly's really interested in it. And Kelly's read her books about Nostradamus. You want to just talk about Nostradamus because that has to do with the whole past life thing and how time works. And it's really intricate. And she was able to go back and talk to Nostradamus now while he was in the past. And that's why I was saying all time is now. So
Yeah.
if you need to contact one of these people, you can actually contact them and speak with them and to them. So Kelly, you want to just get into that? That's really an interesting story to me.
Yeah, this one is crazy. This is one of her first books, and I think there's a total of 4 in the Nostradamus series. At least 3, but I think there's 4. So this one gets just mind-blowing. Okay, so it starts off where, as Tan said, she's doing her past life regressions with people. And one woman, she regressed as a boy in France in the 1500s. And it turns out that he's the apprentice, one of the apprentices of Nostradamus. For those that don't know who Nostradamus is, because I talk about Nostradamus, I know you know you're starting to get older when you talk to younger people and they don't know like things that you're like, how do you not know what that is?
Exactly. That happens all the time now, especially with this, TikTok, YouTube Reel generation. YouTube Story, Instagram Reel generation, where they just don't know this kind of knowledge. But that's why we're really in an anamnesis at this point in time, where we're really just starting to remember who we are and bring up that past knowledge.
For sure. So Nostradamus was a great psychic and philosopher, and he made all of these basically riddles or short poem type entries. And there's hundreds of them, all about predictions of the future, but they're written in a very mysterious way and they're hard to decipher. And there's a reason for that, which we find out more in the books. So I'll get to that in a moment.
Let me guess. I haven't read the book. Kelly's read it. Is it hard to decipher because time is always changing? So you can change realities and you're always going in and out of realities? Yeah. I could be completely wrong. I don't know. That's just a complete guess.
That's part of it, but there's also
you don't have to get into it if you're not ready. Okay.
For the time
all right. Well, it's story time then. I'm interested in the story as well.
So he regresses, or she in this life was a she, and then regresses the boy. And next thing you know, Nostradamus comes in and starts talking, and he says, "Oh, hey, I've been waiting for you. I've been waiting for someone to come and talk to me." And she's like, "Huh?" And he said, "Yeah, I can see that none of you guys understood my riddles." That's not the right term for him. It's not a riddle, but
prophecy.
The prophecy. He's like, "I can see none of you guys understood my prophecies and aren't really listening to them, aren't really taking them seriously, let alone understanding them. And I can see you're at a critical point in your time history, and a lot of them are about to come true if you don't figure this stuff out. So you and I need to work together, and we need to reword the prophecies."
So you're saying, wait, you start over. So she's talking to a girl, and what happened?
This woman, she had
explain the process if you've never heard
past
of this.
Life regression. So it's a hypnotic past life regression. So the person goes into a deep, not fully sleep state, but just about a sleep state, but they're still conscious. And in their minds, they are seeing their past lives again. They say, it's a long process to get you into that deep state, but finally she'll say, "Okay, look at your shoes. What are you wearing? Look at your surroundings. What street are you on? What building are you in?" And they see it very, very clearly. They are that person again. So it's kind of like if you have a really, really vivid dream.
And a lot of people have no knowledge of this as well.
Yeah, some people remember a little bit. Most people forget.
No, I'm saying like what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah.
Like she had no knowledge of. It's not like she was a scholar on Nostradamus.
Oh, no, not at all.
And the next thing you know, it's just coming out in her subconscious.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be something totally unexpected and unrelated. Cool. Sometimes related, but usually not.
Okay.
And
so all right. So now that people understand, you said Nostradamus. She put her in this deep state of hypnosis.
Yeah,
and then he came out and said, "Hi, I'm Nostradamus." Or he said, "I've been waiting for you."
Yeah. So first it's just the apprentice boy, and he works with.
And the apprentice has been waiting?
No.
Oh, okay.
But
so is she the apprentice or Nostradamus?
She's the apprentice.
Okay, makes sense.
But the way Nostradamus taught them to do this, to see the future, basically they would look through a mirror. And it's really interesting because mirrors didn't exist yet this time. But Nostradamus said that one day one just appeared to him. It was just there in his room. And he would look through the mirror, and it's hours and hours and hours of meditating through the mirror and using different methods, such as using smoke and things. And this is how they do it. They stare at the mirror for hours and hours and hours. And next thing you know, in their own minds, they'll go through like a portal through the mirror. And it's kind of like this smoky realm, kind of like a void. And that's where they see, well, that's where Nostradamus would see the future stuff, the future prophecies. And you see it through the mirror. And then this is also the same void where this past life regression was taking place, if that makes sense. I know it's confusing, but that
is really interesting. So Nostradamus, he would do these deep meditations, and he would use a mirror the whole time, and he's just sitting there in front of the mirror looking at the mirror, and then he understands, he gets through this portal. Because a lot of people talk about mirror meditations, and mirror meditations are really important because you can truly see who you are, and it's a reflection. And once you stare into the mirror for a certain amount of time, you truly can go through a portal of sorts. I've done this myself. I used to do mirror meditations all the time. And that really brought me to a pivotal moment in my life where I was able to change and truly become all I needed to become. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, it is. Because even actually I read a book on the ancient Mexican cultures, Mayans, Toltecs, and they had a method with mirrors as well called the Black Obsidian Mirror.
Wow.
And they would look and meditate and stare into these mirrors as well. And then they would end up transforming into a certain animal. And depending on which animal they transformed into, said things about their lives. So mirrors are definitely very important and big on the spiritual world.
Yeah, I like that because everyone does have a spirit animal and guides that can manifest themselves as spirit animals. So, all right. So what happened next? Because I'm invested in this now.
So they were in this void world, and next thing you know, Nostradamus just popped in, and this is where he said, because he noticed that the apprentice was in there talking to someone. And he said, oh, hey, like I've been waiting for you, and we need to go over this stuff, and we need to rewrite all the prophecies, and let's do it because you guys might be ending to the version of reality that I see, which is a lot of chaos, tsunamis, floods, fire gates, fire, just, all the chaos. So he wanted to help prevent that from happening. So the woman becomes, awake again, and she's a little hesitant because she's just a little nervous about this. It's like a lot to take on. I mean, as you can imagine, you just think you're going to do a regular past life regression, and next thing you know, it's on you to rewrite the prophecies of Nostradamus and save the human race.
Yeah.
So it was a little much for her, and she kind of started making excuses for it. Didn't really want to do it. She was just a little scared. She was saying her daughter's moving to California, she needs to help her, yada yada. So I think they end up doing maybe 1 or 2 more sessions, but then the lady moves with her daughter because she has to help her stay there for a month or 2. And so Dolores Cannon is like, oh gosh, now what am I going to do? So there's another woman who was really, really good at doing the past life regressions. Like Dolores Cannon, the way she describes it in her books is that some people just get into the state easier than others and are kind of just, their brains are more open for it, I guess you could say. So she ends up doing another woman. I think this is Brenda. And they try to work with her through it. And it ends up working. I forget exactly how it went, but yeah. So basically this time, for the rest of the first book, that's the only one I read. I know it ends up being another person, Phil, later on. But for this one, Nostradamus ends up coming out through Brenda. So Brenda is speaking, but she's basically like a translator for Nostradamus, because you also have to remember he's French, so he doesn't even speak English. So he will be like, okay, let's start, and they would just get busy, and he'd be like, okay, let's read number 1. And he's like, sometimes he says, okay, read me the English version and read me the French version. he would prefer the French version, but Dolores Cannon didn't know French and couldn't pronounce things well, so it was hard for him to understand what she was saying sometimes. So yeah, it's just crazy. He'd say, read me the French version, read me the English version. And he would start, boom, just explaining them all, very detailed. And it's cool because this was written in the 80s. So
this is before Google Translate, guys.
Oh yeah, that's
so it's not like she could just put it on her phone and, you know, have it speak.
Mm-hmm. And this was in the 80s, so there's even been a amendum to the book, and like they went back and be like, oh, this actually, we see now this one happened, this one happened, this one happened. And he was predicting all these things, and some of the prophecies do have multiple meanings. So something like happened in the 1700s, but it is also about something that in the 1900s that it just happened that the prophecy could kind of match these two events. And it's funny because he kind of would get sassy sometimes, because like she had to read another person's interpretation, like the book they published, and he would be like, oh, I can't believe that this is what they thought it was, and yeah. He would get a little sassy.
I'd get
sometimes.
mad too. I'd be like, dude, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you got to think with how they're kind of like hiding information, withholding information, who knows whether we even have the right translation. So he's probably like, man, this is ridiculous.
Exactly.
This is trash. It did me dirty.
So yeah, that's that. And like I said, I've only read the first one, but I've first started hearing about the Nostradamus ones from JK Ultra. She also has a YouTube channel, and she has a lot of followers on TikTok, and she talks about the same type of stuff as us. And she was saying that later on in the books, when it turns to Phil knew how to go to the library of knowledge and also the tapestry. So there's this tapestry, and every single being has a line, a thread in the tapestry.
Ooh, the silver thread, the famous silver thread that connects us all. Yeah. Everyone has a silver thread that connects their soul to their oversoul, to, you know, the one, everything, God, you know, so that's really interesting. And I like how the more you get into this information, it all starts to connect together. That's how you can really cross-reference things. So it's important whenever you're hearing information, don't just take my word for it. Don't just take Kelly's word for it. Actually, don't take Dolores Cannon's word either.
Yeah.
Read different sources that you trust. And the way you have to trust sources is you have to read their vibration. You have to read what kind of vibration you're getting whenever you're hearing the information. If you're hearing the information and it really interests you, but you don't really get a good vibration from it, then, you know, you can't really, that doesn't really mean anything. But if you hear something, you're excited about it, you're interested in it, and it's a different feeling. A lot of people are good at, different people are reading vibrations at different levels than other people. I'm really good at reading a vibration and telling if someone's vibration is high or low, and it always is fluctuating. So if you're listening to something and you feel that vibration, that high vibration, then that's a good way that you can check and tell if the information is correct. So, but you have to practice this. You can't just be like, oh, this is what I think. So you have to listen to different sources and practice it. So
exactly. So the interesting thing about the tapestry is that Nostradamus's thread was gold, and it was crazy thick. So meaning that he obviously had a huge part and role in our whole system as humans, our whole connection and just like everything, because it all weaves together because we are all connected, and it creates one tapestry.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
So it's really cool. And
you think we have gold threads?
Maybe. Hopefully little baby ones. Yep. And they can grow.
Baby ones.
Well, what I'm saying is his grew thicker and thicker.
Ooh,
so ours will grow thicker and thicker as we continue on our journey in this life.
I like that. So there's room for growth.
It's a live tapestry. It moves. Like, it's really neat. And going back to why the prophecies are so hard to distinguish is because this was the time, the 1500s in France. So you have to imagine the church was in charge, and you would be prosecuted if you did anything against the church. So a lot of people saw it, putting out stuff like this and saying that you're a psychic and know the future, only God's supposed to know the future. So
Yeah.
he could have gotten in big, big trouble if they knew he was creating these prophecies. And so that was a big reason why he made them mysterious as well. And also, he's just a really interesting guy. His day job, he was a doctor. And he, since he's a psychic, he was talking about so many things that they didn't realize. He knew how to stop pain in the patients. And he was trying to teach the other doctors things, and not too much, because if it was too advanced, they'd be like, how does this dude know this stuff? But yeah, he was a doctor by day, and he also taught his apprentices how to be doctors. And then at night, he was the psychic and philosopher and was teaching his apprentices that secretly.
I really like that. And that's why I said we're in an anamnesis, because we're starting to rediscover and relearn all of this ancient secret knowledge. So that's why it's just so interesting. And we're getting more and more psychic as time goes on.
Right.
That's what people have to realize. The kids that are being born now are more psychic than the kids that are being born, before them. So it's just really interesting. Like, after time goes on, we're just continuing to evolve and advance as a species. And that's what's so exciting to me. And I love that. And I love the concept of these mystery schools in ancient Egypt, and how he would teach his people how to be doctors, and he teach them the psychic abilities, and everyone needs an apprentice that's going to learn from them. So I'm in the process of just learning as much as I can, but I want to, pass this knowledge down to everybody I meet and to my children, and teach them how they can be the best versions of themselves, and how they can use their abilities to truly progress humanity as a whole, because that's what it's all about. Progression of the soul, progression of humanity, and helping people.
Yeah, talking about this is making me excited, and because I am reading The Convoluted Universe by Dolores Cannon right now, but I've been on a break from it for a while, just, busy with everyday life, work, business. But just talking about this makes me want to really go back and pick it up tonight, because all this stuff is just so, so fascinating. And I love learning about all this stuff.
Yeah, I love it too. And an interesting part about the reincarnation that we can go into now is just, it's talking about like more about the process, like what happens when you die, what happens after. Can you hand me that water bottle, please?
Yeah.
So what happens when you die? That makes a lot of noise. What happens when you die, and what's the process of, post life and all that? So what Dolores Cannon and a lot of different sources that I've read say is, once you die, you go essentially to heaven. So you go to a really nice place, whatever you envision in your head, it would be heaven. Whether it's, beautiful flowers, nice castle, whatever it is, somewhere where you can just rest and relax. Especially if you had a traumatic life, you can just rest and relax and kind of rejuvenate yourself in that spot. And you're there for an unspecified amount of time, but after that, you do move on, and then you move on to the life review. So once you move on to the life review, that's whenever you go through everything that's ever happened in your life. And then you not only see what happened to you, but you see what happens to other people, and what happens to changes in the world because of what you've done. So whether good, bad, or, neither, you see all that. And when you're talking to someone, you see how it made them feel what you said, and how they feel by what you did. So a lot of things that I say is that you should just be the examples, meaning you shouldn't just tell someone, do this, do this, do this, and then get mad at them if they don't do it. Just live your everyday life, doing what you're supposed to be doing, living your best reality. And by doing that, you're going to help change the lives of other people around you just by being your truest and highest self. So that's what I truly believe will help other people. But once you go through that life review, then you can stay in spirit. Some people like to go back to the one, the all that is, and just relax and chill, because there's different souls. Some people are brand new souls. Some people have came to this earth to help, which is in the first Dolores Canyon, that book that I read, The Three Waves, that explains how humanity, in a sense, was in trouble. Things were getting more negative. Things were getting dangerous. Things were getting crazier by the day. And the council, essentially, there's a council of supreme souls that look after Earth in different realms. And they said, hey, we have to make sure that Earth progresses in a positive way. What can we do? We gave Earth free will. Everyone there has decided to be, part of free will. And from what I understand, Earth is one of the only planets that has true free will, where you can do whatever you want. So Earth has free will, but they're doing bad things with it. Their egos getting involved. They're doing crazy things on a day-to-day basis. How can we help without affecting their free will? And then they came up with a genius idea. That idea was, we're going to reincarnate souls that are a high level onto Earth, and these souls will help other people. And sometimes these people don't even know that they're a high level soul. Just by being them true selves and being around other people, it helps those other people to get a higher vibration, to release trauma, and to do what's best for them, and helps and heals the world just by them being around. And other people do know that they're high level souls, and they're trying to teach and help. So if you're listening to this, you're probably a part of that 3 waves of people. They send them out in waves. So people are reincarnating, and the Earth is now healing and getting better and better and better. That's why you have so many people that are attuned to this information, because they're a part of that wave. They're a part of that. They're like I keep saying, we're having an anamnesis where we're starting to relearn this knowledge and truly understand it again. Some knowledge that was lost over time. We're starting to relearn it and re-understand it. And that's why Kelly and I are teaching it, because we are a part of that wave as well. And I'm sure if you're listening, you are. But like I was saying, that's what they came up with. So a lot of people in that 3 waves this is their first wave, where they were just a part of God. And then they came in a pure soul. And then sometimes they get down here and they get trapped in a karmic cycle. And then they have to, live multiple lives on Earth. Other people, they don't build karma. And karma is not like you do something bad to someone, you're going to get karma. Karma is something that has to do with your belief systems, what you're doing. And it's more complicated than just, oh, let me just do something good or something bad, and that's my karma. But anyways, so they go to heaven, then they go through life review. And then after that, they either go back to God, or they can hang out in spirit, go to different planets, view things, learn knowledge, go to the tapestry, like Kelly said, and just, view all kinds of cool information. But once you go back to all that is, you already know everything. So it's not as interesting, but it is interesting in a different way. And then a lot of times people are like, okay, you have more to do. And it's never a forceful thing, but a lot of times you just have to go back and either go back in a human life or go back on another planet, because you're still trying to achieve that perfection of soul. So it's just really interesting how this process of reincarnation happens. And throughout all different cultures, all different religions, a lot of people do have that knowledge of reincarnation. In Hinduism, reincarnation is a fundamental concept in Hinduism. And with the Hindu beliefs, they believe that your actions, they believe in karma as well, and that your actions as a person in this life will affect their future lives. So if you're doing bad things, they believe that this will affect your future lives. And the ultimate goal in Hinduism is to break free from the cycle of reincarnation and attain moksha. And what moksha is just the liberation from the cycle of birth and death. So I'm not an expert, but I believe that moksha is what I was talking about, is whenever you reach the perfection of the soul. And then once you reach that perfection of the soul, you're free to do whatever you want. You don't have to reincarnate on Earth anymore. You can go to different, planets, go back to God, do whatever you want, but we're always constantly striving for that. And that's not something that you easily obtain. But in Buddhism as well, they have the same concept of reincarnation. The interpretation does differ from Hinduism, but they still do have it. Buddhists do believe in a continuous cycle of birth, death, and rebirth called samsara. However, they do not believe in unchanging soul or self. Instead, they view the individual as a combination of constantly changing elements. So it's just different, but it is the same as well because they do believe in it.
Yeah,
so Native.
I was gonna say, in college I took ancient Asian philosophy class, and I learned quite a bit about Buddhism. And Buddhism differs a little bit because they believe that heaven and hell it's all on earth. It's just what state of mind you are in. So nirvana is heaven to them, and hell, I can't quite remember the name. But it's all on earth. It just depends on what reality you are in. So that's the way they see it. And just a quick note, I just wanted to say that for all karma, just because you do one thing bad in this life doesn't mean, it's over. Once you die, you're going to have to do it again regardless. As long as you get over these things and forgive yourself or forgive other people or whatever you need to do to get over that bad action in this life, you can still get over it. You can still make the bad thing in this life, but still make it right in this life.
Yeah, and that's what Jesus talks about, Yeshua, right, where he explains that forgiveness, where anything can be forgiven. And whenever people go through this life review, it's never in a harsh way. It's never in a critical way. It's always in a loving and understanding way in which there's never judgment upon it. So that's what people need to realize. You never are being judged for anything that you do. You're never doomed to hell. You're never judged. This is just a process of understanding and learning about what's next. So not to say that you're not going to have to work through it if you just do some terrible things on this earth, but it's not like you're being judged or doomed to hell. But in Native American religions, they also do believe in reincarnation. And all these cultures believe in it for a reason. Same with ancient Egypt. Ancient Egyptians believed in this reincarnation. I mean, they believed in souls. They believed in that there's an afterlife after death. That's why they had, mummies, where they're mummifying people and burying them in these elaborate tombs and structures, because they believe that the spiritual body can be reborn in the physical world again if necessary. And even in the Emerald Tablets, they talk about that, where Thoth the Atlantean was thrice reborn. He would go in these chambers and he would literally, transfer his soul into another avatar body, and he would live on. And that's what would happen. And this is in every culture, essentially. So you have to wonder, why is this in every culture? Why do people believe in it? Even like I was saying, in India, there's a temple filled with rats, but the people love the rats because they believe their ancestors are reborn and reincarnated as the rats. Wow. And they treat them very well. They feed them good food. They hang out with them and pet them, and the rats are incredibly friendly.
Wow. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, so just all throughout time, people believe in this reincarnation. So, and Dolores Cannon, she also talks about having multiple souls, or having multiple. She talks about having multiple
parts of a soul.
Yeah, there's different parts of your soul. There's different. I mean, that's why it's called the convoluted universe, because it gets incredibly convoluted. But over time, it's just, she even says that if you're a human being, you've probably incarnated as every animal, everything, as rocks, as trees. There's people that have reincarnated as trees and had beautiful experiences where they feel that they're connected to nature, because they truly are. They're connected to the earth. They feel that love and that growth around them of the forest. I know that Kelly had a very intense meditative experience one time where she was actually a plant and she felt that. You want to talk about that and how you actually like, you know, corn or something?
And well, just real quick, I wanted to say before I forget is that Dolores can't talk about this. Many people talk about this, but another big person on this type of information is Dr. Michael Newton, who did Journey of Souls. And I listened to that audiobook. And that's what I like, because him and Dolores Cannon didn't know about each other's works, but they say basically the exact same things and get this information through the same way, hypnosis. They just have different methods. And a big thing that he would say, but they all say, but I just remember this really being talked about in his book, is that we all have our what's it called? Our soul group. Yeah, our soul group.
Yep.
So
kind of like a soul family.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, you can when you meet someone, I mean, a lot of our family members are in that. Or sometimes you just meet someone and you just feel like you've known them and you don't even
like
have
Pauline,
to.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. You just already know them.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes it is from past lives, but the thing is too that these people who are in many lives with you are probably part of your soul group, because these people who say like, okay, well, this we didn't get right in that life, so let's redo it in this life, and I'll play this role now and you play this role now. So that's a soul group. And when you pass on, you do go to the heaven, but a lot of times at very, very first, you may be greeted by one of your guides. We all have guides as well, at least one. And our soul group as well. And you do spend a lot of time with your soul group. That's really your family in the soul world. And sometimes you'll be apart for them for a while in this life. And then it'll be so, so loving once you see them again on the soul realm. So they're a big part of our lives as souls. So yeah, so one of my first really deep meditative experiences. Hold on 1 second,
Kelly.
Okay.
Just pulling something up. Okay, go ahead, Kelly.
Okay, so in this one,
your meditative experience.
Yeah, it was really interesting because this was a meditation Han did. We'll link it below and in the eyes and in the show notes. He did it over this man who he was on one of the not America's Got Talent. This was for a European country, I believe. But he said, I can sing the sounds of the earth. And that's what he did. He went up on stage, and it is the most awestruck performance you could ever hear. Like the noises he makes, and you look at the audience faces, the judges' faces, even if you just close your eyes and listen to it, you're like, you'll get chills. Like, this is something. This really does sound like the sounds of earth. It's crazy. So Han did a meditation over that music, and we were listening to that, meditating on it, and next thing you know, it's vivid. I can see clear in my mind, like a vivid dream, just like these past life regressions, how they are, where you are the being, you are it, you're seeing it through those eyes. So I became a plant and I was growing. And it turned out I was a corn plant, and I became a corn, and then humans were taking my corn, stalks and harvesting them, and I knew I was going off and becoming meals. I was going off and becoming all these different things, and a variety of different things that I was becoming for the humans to eat, to produce, to use for art, for many, many different things. And it felt so, 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 so beautiful. And I was just had tears falling down my eyes, pouring down my eyes. And then I withered away as well, but it was fine. Even that was beautiful. And I literally, in a moment of, maybe 30 seconds of meditation, I truly felt like what it was like to live as this plant. And it gave me a totally different perspective on things, on goods and on items. Because a lot of times we look at material items and, we think we shouldn't be attached, but it gives me a whole new concept of beauty for a material item. Because you look at something like, let's say, a handbag, which can, some people can say it's superficial or just purely materialistic. But even if you think, for example, maybe the cow that was passed away to use the leather,
Yep.
the being really does see it as beauty, to be used as an item and to be graded into art and to become something greater than it was originally was, and become so much more for the earth.
Yeah.
And it really is a beautiful experience.
Yeah. To be murdered for a handbag. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking, guys. I'm joking. I'm joking.
That is true, but that's the good thing about this soul stuff.
Yeah, but the thing is, you have to,
yeah.
if you do it in a respectful, in a right way,
yeah.
then it truly is nothing wrong with it. That's the same with hunting. It's not bad to eat meat, but if you do it in a respectful, in the right way, then it truly is can be a very, joyous and respectful experience. The Native Americans are incredibly spiritual, and they love to eat meat, but they do it in a way that the animal can understand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference. But I want to talk about one of my past life experiences. So on the last podcast, Kelly actually, she started talking about Calpius, a mystic. And one of the past life experiences I had was I started doing the meditations, and I was doing them a lot. And it was just so wild. I was getting contacted by different beings. I was seeing different beings like Thoth the Atlantean. And one day, just this name came in my head, Calpius. And I was like, I didn't really think anything of it, but it was so clear and so distinct, and I never heard that name before. It just kind of lingered in my head for a few weeks. And I ended up telling my cousin about it. He's going to be on the podcast. You'll see him on one of the episodes. And I told him about it. I was like, yeah, this name Calpius came in my head. I've never heard it before. I don't know what this is. And then, one day I just looked it up, and then I seen Calpius. I was like, what is this? And Calpius was a mystic in the early 1600s, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is off the top of my head. But he was a mystic in the early stages of America, and he was in Pennsylvania, and he has a Calpius cave where he would be in this cave, and he was said to have possessed the Philosopher's Stone. And he actually died in the cave meditating, and he would meditate all day in the cave. And he actually started a group called Women of the Wilderness, where he had a group of people and he would teach them these practices, and he had apprentices that he would teach. And he was very, very in tune with information and with the future and the past. And it was just an incredible experience. Whenever I saw that, my mind was just completely blown away that name could have come to me in that time whenever I was doing these guided meditations, and he was known for meditating. And then one day I was just meditating, and I started doing my channeled meditations, and I said, and I was just starting and just, thank you for taking part in this meditation. To start this meditation, doing my thing, and I was saying, the different phrases that I say, and one of the phrases that I said, it just was like, the Calpius came in my brain again, and I started to cry. Tears started to come down, and I was like, that's one of the beings that's helping me do my meditations and helping me with this whole process. And we'll probably do a whole podcast episode on Calpius.
Yeah, there's a lot
because it's very interesting. But I could feel his presence now, and one of my past lives in the now, I could feel him helping me now. So it's just an interesting process. And another one that Kelly actually saw directly was she was giving me a Reiki healing, and she had gone down to my feet to heal my feet. And at this point, I'm just laying down and I'm crying because I feel so much energy and joy and happiness and a release. And she starts to cry a little bit, and she's doing the feet. And then after, she always tells me what she got from the Reiki session. And then I tell her what I got. And she was saying that she saw one of my past lives, like she was there, where I was walking, in a
Well, so basically he was a prince, like in a very desert area, probably the Middle East, and these bad people came and raided everything and killed a lot of people, but for whatever reason they really wanted to torture him. So they took him out far, 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 far out in the middle of the desert and just left him there. So he was trying to walk back home and walking through the desert for days and days and days on end. And I truly felt, I was crying like as if it would really happen to him. Like I was really feeling like if it happened to him, and I was crying for him. And he started off with, the typical Jesus sandals, whatever you want to call them, those type of sandals, and doing so much walking through the sand that they ended up withering away until he was on his bare feet, and they were his feet just got so messed up from walking through the sand, and he did eventually die. But I ended up changing the life path of it to become better for him, and I imagined him, this was at a later session because I had never seen a past life during a Reiki session before, so it was a lot to take in for that one. But I wanted to give him a new ending because I realized that with his past life, he was spiritual in that life and was learning about many things and knew about grounding and connecting to the earth through your feet. And he died with almost a little bit of resentment. So this goes directly with karma and reincarnation, because he died with a little bit of resentment because he knew about these things. And at the end of his death, he was thinking, why? Why did this happen to me? I knew about grounding, and my feet connecting to the earth is supposed to be a good thing, but look at what it did for me. It left me in a horrible state.
And it was really profound because I could see it when she was saying it to me. And it was like, I'm trying to teach people about grounding, about the energies of the earth, the magnetism of the earth, and how it can help you and heal you. And, it was ironic because I ended up dying with my feet on the ground, walking in a desert and saying, well, look where it got me with my feet on the ground, in the earth. And dead. You know what I mean?
And I did get the idea that the part of the reason these bad guys did attack was because he was teaching these spiritual things that weren't really allowed or known for the time. But what I did in another session, as I imagined him that he did make it back home, he met a woman, they got married, they had a beautiful family, and it all ended well. And so that changed the past life, because since everything is directly related, and you can change those
and there's
lives.
Infinite realities and possibilities. So you can heal, like I was saying earlier, and get through that, that trauma, and that, by just reinventing your DNA and rewriting it in the sense where you can release that trauma and go to one of those realities. Because whenever if you're feeling sick, know that you can be healthy. The way that it works is you just go to reality of you that's already right now in which you're healthy. That's the way it works.
Everything exists, so you can tap into any reality.
Yep.
That's just the way it is.
So, you guys ready to tap into a past life? As you guys know, I do guided meditations and Han meditations. Look me up on YouTube, Spotify. We're going to be on there shortly. And I'd like to do a guided meditation to close out the podcast. We did that in the first one, and I think we're going to keep doing that. Maybe sometimes if we have guests, we won't do it if we're on a time crunch, but, just for whenever we can. This guided meditation is all off the top of my head. Calling upon Kelpie is calling upon these beautiful beings to help guide me, to guide you in this meditation, to get you to the point where you can see one of your past lives and be in one of your past life realities. Kelly is going to be giving Reiki. Explain what you're going to be doing for Reiki, Kelly.
Yeah, so there's various Reiki symbols, and one is a distant symbol, which allows the Reiki energy to travel through time and space and reach anyone listening. So you don't have to be directly with us for it to reach you. And this does work because the last one actually really worked, didn't it?
100%. They always work. So after, maybe if Kelly gets anything, she'll say. If I get anything, I'll say. If not, we'll see you in the next one. So stay tuned. Right now, we're doing the guided meditation. So give me a second. Let me get in my state. Thank you for taking part in this meditation. To start this meditation, please be sitting comfortably or laying down and close your eyes. Starting now. The intention of this meditation is to put your mind, put your body, put your reality in the place in which you can see your past lives in the now. Know that these lives are being lived now. And if they are relevant to you, we call upon these past lives, these realities, to show themselves to us as we allow ourselves to be open, to be honest, to have our imagination run wild in whatever is relevant for us to come in. So picture yourself now walking downstairs. Each step you take down the stairs, you hear the click and the clack of your steps. And as you keep descending down this stairwell, it gets darker and darker, colder and colder. Click, clack, click, clack, click, clack, click, clack. Descending down this stairwell, keep going until you're in complete darkness, but you keep moving. Click, clack, click, clack, till you get to the bottom of the stairs. You reach your hand out and there's a door. You open the door and you are immediately transported through a portal of space and time, allowing you to go to another time, another reality, another place, another life, in which there is something for you to learn, in which there is knowledge for you to gain in this reality, in this plane of existence. You see yourself living a much different life, living in a much different time. There are people around you, challenges you must face, but you are strong. You are here to face them with an open mind, an open heart, and you are here to learn and expand. Feel your consciousness in this moment, expanding, reaching out into the ethereum of space-time. Feel it expanding through all the generations of your lives, through all the generations of your family, throughout your DNA that exists and permeates, in the DNA of space-time itself. Feel this DNA. Know it is right here. Right now, it is yours. You're able to grasp it. You're able to use it. You're able to hold on to it, to change it, to be with it in this moment, allowing you to see whatever life is relevant for you, allowing you to change whatever life is relevant for you. Feel yourself in this moment, accepting the Reiki healing, the powerful, positive Reiki healing, lighting your soul up with pure white light. See yourself accepting this infinite white life and giving it to your past life that is living in the now. Cleansing their trauma, cleansing your trauma, cleansing your mind and cleansing their mind, allowing you both to be in perfect harmony, synchronized together. Know that you will see this past life in perfect timing. It could be now. It could be in a dream. It could be whatever it needs to be. Just know it will happen in perfect timing. Keep your mind open. Keep your mind clear. Knowing that these past lives are here to help guide you. Here to show you who you truly are. Because in this reality, in this moment in time, your guides are here to protect you, here to give you a message of positivity, of prosperity, of oneness. Feel this message of positivity, prosperity, and oneness upon you right now, feeding you with compliments of the divine, feeding your spirit and your energy with purpose, positivity, allowing you to do whatever you need to do when you need to do it, allowing you to see whatever you need to see when you need to see it. Keep your eyes open during the day. Keep your mind open during the day. Keep your ears open during the day. And listen for signs. Listen for what attracts you. And know that your past lives living now are trying to contact you, trying to get you to see a message. Because they realize that you reached out to them. They realize that you reached out to them, and they are now reaching out to you. Whenever you go to sleep at night, tonight, say one more time in your mind, I am open to receiving messages, and I am open to remembering the messages that I see from my past lives now. Contact me. I am open to receiving your message and seeing it and remembering it now. Because I am greater than I know. Much, much greater. In my greatness, in my remembrance, and my anamnesis of the past has just begun. So, I don't know if you got anything from that, but what I just saw and got is that everyone just needs to, whether you got something there or not, your past lives are going to be contacting you. Just keep your eyes open and keep your ears open. You might see something from ancient Egypt, from ancient Greece. You might see signs and synchronicities on TV. You might have someone in your ear talking to you, giving you information. You might see it in a dream. But remember, whenever you go to sleep, keep your eyes and your mind open to remember what you heard and just consciously be thinking of it. Consciously be aware.
Yeah, and I got to call on your guides, ask your guides to guide you, to allow you to see them a bit more, notice them a bit more, and help them guide you a bit more, be more open to it, and they can help you clear anything that needs to be cleared from your past lives. That's really what I got.
Perfect. Thank you guys for watching the podcast. Again, you can go to hanmeditations.com if you'd like to donate any money. Every penny counts. Follow us and subscribe on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you.